Hello everybody, welcome to the Redmen TV. My name is Ben Kelly, this is the Liverpool Development Watch. Later in the show we're going to be talking about how Naby Keita ran the show for Leipzig in the Europa League and also a tough night for Liverpool on 23s at Anfield. But we're going to start with the loans. We're going to start with Harry Wilson, who returned from injury finally this week. He's been out for a couple of weeks after the injury picked up against Chelsea in the FA Cup in January. But he got a goal and assist for Hull City on his return as they beat Norwich 4-3 at home. It was a really, really clever finish, a little shimmy of the hips to confuse the defender, and then he buries it into the corner. They were 3-1 down, and Harry scored the winner.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
He was also given man of the match, which is great news. A really good return from injury for him. The Hull Daily Mail, obviously they do their whole press thing when it comes to talking about post-match stuff, and they did the player ratings. They gave Harry Wilson man of the match, which is really good, and they reported this: City have signed a gem on loan from Liverpool, and he ought to be enjoyed for as long as he is here. A magnificent winner to earn all 3 points, but his trickery and pace gave Norwich problems throughout, and that's really good. You know, he's starting to replicate the form that we have seen for Liverpool under 23s over the course of this season. If he's starting to do it at a higher level, if he's starting to adapt to the Championship, which is obviously a big step up from the under 23s, then that's a really good omen for what we can expect when perhaps he returns and is thrown into the mix when it comes to the Liverpool first team in the Premier League as well. So that's really good news for us. It was arguably an even better week for Marko Grujic, who got his first ever goal in English competitive football for Cardiff in the week versus Barnsley. It was a really good finish for him too. It was questionable goalkeeping, but it was a good effort from outside the box. You know, he bought a ticket, he won the raffle. He then put in another good performance at the weekend versus Birmingham. He's completed 2 sets in 90 minutes this week, so that's really, really good. Like we say with all these loanees, the amount of time that they're getting on the pitch is really, really key to the development. Marko Grujic, Harry Wilson, and some other players that I'm going to talk about are getting loads of time at the moment, so that's really, really good to hear. Elsewhere in the Championship then, Shea Ojo made a cameo appearance as a late sub as Fulham beat Preston 2-1, another step closer to finishing the playoff places for them. John Flanagan made his first start for Bolton on Tuesday and Saturday, 2-1 draws with Reading on Tuesday and Sheffield Wednesday at the weekend. He played 84 minutes in the 1-1 draw on Tuesday, and at the weekend he played 84 minutes. Again, plenty of minutes for him. Ovie Ejaria was one of Sunderland's better players as they lost 3-0 at home to Aston Villa on Tuesday. He then played another 90 minutes as they lost 1-0 to QPR. I'm starting to feel really, really sorry for Sunderland fans. Look, there's no doubt about it that Ovie Ejaria is better off at playing first-team football at a club like Sunderland, a big club, a big English club. But Jesus, the home for is so terrible, isn't it? You know, in terms of buying a season ticket for Sunderland, you'd be really, really sorry. You'd be asking for a refund. But anyway, that was just a side note. Naby Keita then. He was the best player on the pitch as RB Leipzig put themselves in a good position to reach the Europa League quarterfinals on Thursday. They beat Zenit St. Petersburg 2-1. Again, it was just another showcase of how good he is in midfield. Bursting out from midfield, making driving runs and creating chances for his strikers. He set up a goal for Timo Werner in the second half that put them 2-0 up. Really, really good ball through. Again, it's just the way he gets the ball, he drives forward, a bit like Oxlade-Chamberlain's been doing for us, but even better than that because he's creating more chances when it comes on the end of it. And to be honest, I think we missed a little bit of that on Saturday. You know, I'm sorry to bring up the big result against Man United on Saturday lunchtime, but I feel like we did miss a little bit of drive and a little bit of just energy in the midfield sometimes, you know, and that's the way Man United set up. They set up to sort of neutralise us in that sense because we do normally have a lot of energy in the midfield, but I feel like you needed somebody with a bit more strength and, like I said, just drive to really run at the United back four and the two holding midfielders, and I feel like Naby Keita would have provided that on Saturday. But hopefully in 110 days' time, he'll be able to start providing that sort of thing that we need. And that's your Keita countdown for this week, ladies and gentlemen. 110 days until Naby Keita puts on a Liverpool shirt. 1st of July is coming thick and fast. It was another difficult week for Divock Origi as he was subbed in the first half of Wolfsburg versus Hoffenheim on Saturday. As far as being reported, there's no injury. It was a tactical change, which just pretty much sums up his time so far at Wolfsburg. Really, he made a really good start, as we all know, and it's really dried up the goal-scoring form over the last few weeks. Really, really difficult time from out there at the moment. Conor Randall played full 90 minutes for Hearts in a 2-0 loss to Hibs in the Edinburgh Derby, and now we'll move on to the youth teams. And a familiar story as Liverpool under 23s lost 2-1 to Manchester United at Anfield on Friday night. I say familiar story because I said to my friend on Friday, hopefully that's not an omen for tomorrow morning. And it was. They actually led 1-0 with 13 minutes to go thanks to a wonderful free kick from left-back Adam Lewis. I brought you a prospect report a few weeks ago on this fella. Really, really good player. Really, really dangerous from set pieces, and he proved it again on Friday night. It was one of those, it was out wide, and it really looked as if he was going to cross it. It was one of those where it looked as if all he could do was cross it, and I think everybody expected him to, including the goalkeeper, and I think that's where the goals come from. Look, it's a really, really good hit. It's high into the top left-hand corner of the goal in front of the Kop. It must have been a dream moment for him to put us 1-0 up against Man United. Really curled there. The keeper sort of comes to collect the cross and then thinks, crap, this might go in, and then backs off, and then it does go in by the time he's got there. It's a really, really good finish. Unfortunately, though, goals from right-back Joel Riley and a penalty from Josh Berry stole the point. Like I say, they led with 13 minutes to go and they blew it. Really, really disappointing. I spoke to Neil Critchley last week. If you've missed that video, I'll put it up here and also in the descriptions for you to see. Really good, interesting interview. Good to have a chance to have a catch-up about him, just sort of discussing the drop in form that they've had since a lot of players went out on loan and Danny Ings moved up to play for the first team more often. They have had a little bit of a suffering form because a lot of under-18s, a lot of players that we've been used to seeing in the under-18s have made the step up, and that does contribute to a little bit of loss in form. So like I say, yeah, go and watch that interview if you haven't already. It was a really, really interesting chat. Really good to hear from Neil Critchley. Always a pleasure to talk to. They're now second place in the league and 3 points behind Leicester, so even though the dip in form has sort of knocked them off the top spot, it's not quite as bad. The league picture isn't so bad at the moment, but they are only 1 point ahead of Arsenal, who have a game in hand on us, so perhaps we'll be moving down to third over the next few weeks. Meanwhile, Steven Gerrard's under-18s narrowly beat Derby 1-0. Again, a lot of young players that we're unfamiliar with made the step up to the under-18s here, and to be fair, a lot of them are doing a good job. Youngster Neil Brookwell scored the only goal, but there are actually no highlights online. I subscribe to LFC TV Go and I watch all the highlights on that, but it hasn't been put on. Somebody mentioned a couple of weeks ago in the comments that the club put a media block on these kind of players, players this young. That's why you don't hear about how the under-16s or the under-15s are doing. You don't hear where they are in the league and things like that, just to sort of protect them and keep them grounded, I suppose. So maybe this has got something to do with that. Maybe so many under-16s players have made the step up that, you know, they're not going to release the highlights of this games, and maybe this will be a common trend for the rest of the season when it comes to Steven Gerrard's under-18 side. But we'll wait and see. It's always good to see them winning. They are second in the under-18s Premier League, 4 points behind Man City with a game in hand, so hopefully we'll close that gap to 1, and maybe still there'll be a trophy in our hands by the end of the season. Who knows? Now we're going to move on to round off the show. We're going to do a prospect report. It wasn't here last week because they didn't have time, but it's back. It's a player this week that actually a lot of you may have heard of. He's been playing regularly for Neil Critchley in the under-18s and for the under-23s a lot this season. His name's Jan Dander. He's a attacking number 10 midfielder. He's 19 years old, but here we go. He can play wide left just as he did on Friday in the game at Anfield against Manchester United. Like I say, he's normally a number 10. He made the move from West Brom when he was an under-15s player. He's a regular in the under-23s side, 16 appearances this season, scoring 3 goals. And actually, he scored a great finish against Everton in the mini-derby in the 4-0 victory in November at Prenton Park. I was there. It was a really, really good game, a really good finish from him. His best attributes include close ball control and set pieces. You know, you see a lot of this online. If you search his name in YouTube, there are a lot of highlight reels of him taking really good free kicks, close control on the edge of the box, a bit like, kind of reminds me of Adam Lallana sometimes in terms of just the ball seems to be glued to his feet. He can turn himself in and out of tricky spaces, you know, that sort of creative player, very good footballing brain, I think. And like I say, he's one of them that we should perhaps be looking for into the future. Just to give him a bit of a taste of the first team. Maybe if we come to the end of the Premier League season and top four's looking pretty secure and maybe we're further on in the Champions League, he'll be one of them that'll start to appear in the first team matchday squads, just to give him a little bit of game time on the pitch at that level. And yeah, like I say, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the show. Thank you very, very much for watching the Development Watch this week. I know it's a prospect report then. It's not all called the prospect report. Anyway, do all the usual stuff. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment. Follow me on Twitter at bkelly776, and I will see you next week for more Development Watch. Bye-bye.